Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dallas Meetup Group. Today we're going to discuss about the migration Tibco to MuleSoft and some housekeeping items. Like both me, the speakers, and the host are organizing this meetup at individual capacity. We are not representing any of our companies, and this presentation is strictly for learning purpose. And we do not hold any responsibility that the solution might work for everybody on every business case. And this presentation does not mean for any promotional activities. And for your reference, this meetup recording will be available on the events page within 24 hours, and questions can be submitted via chat. And you can please feel free to share us the feedback so that we can work on improving it in future events. And today's agenda is like we're going to set up like what are we going to discuss about the ProVestSoft, because the speakers are from the ProVestSoft, and we're going to see how we're going to migrate from Tibco to MuleSoft, and the strategy and the approaches and the case study. And to give an introduction about me, myself, Nagavasavi, and I work as a technical lead at Infinite Computer Solutions. I'm a MuleSoft Meetup leader for Dallas chapter, and a MuleSoft mentor. You can feel free to connect me over LinkedIn or in my email. And we have two wonderful speakers with us, Suman and Girija. They both work as senior architect and senior architect at like Provest Software Services. And few items I would like to take you through before starting the actual topic. So some of the new updates on MuleSoft are like MuleSoft for runtime 4.6.x has been released to support the Java 17 functionality. And also MuleSoft intelligent document processing has been introduced for like any processing your documents. And Anypoint Code Builder has been released, and I believe there's a June release coming on, and everybody is very much keen about it, like what features going to be released as part of the June release. And yes, just so as everybody know, the certifications for the MuleSoft has been migrated to Salesforce, and anybody can schedule the session through the Salesforce certification exam using the webassessor.com. And any existing active certifications are moved to your Trailblazer account. And some other tools everybody can explore are like MuleSoft Composer and the RPA. These are the tools provided by MuleSoft, which are very exciting to learn more about. With this, I'll hand over the screen to Suman.
Yeah, guys, thanks. 1 second, let me close this and share the screen. Okay. 1 second. Something's wrong. Let me know if you guys are able to see the screen.
Yeah, it's visible, Suman.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's meetup. And Vasavi, thanks a lot, to give us the opportunity to speak at Dallas meetup. My name is Suman Chatterjee. I'm 15 years experience in IT, working across different technologies in the integration space. I work for ProVestSoft as a senior technical architect, and Grija, again, she'll be introducing herself shortly, but then she works with me from the California region. Now, coming to today's topic, so basically, it's more of a knowledge sharing that we've brought for you.
Suman, you're muted.
I'm sure. Yeah. Can you unmute Suman?
Uh, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure if I was, speaking all the time on mute, but then my
No, you were cut off in between.
okay, as apologies. So yeah, I'll just go back to what I was saying. So this meetup is, I mean, today's session is more about the experiences that we've had migrating customers from Tibco to MuleSoft. Again, a disclaimer: we are not showing any hands-on demo over here. So if that's the expectation, I'm sorry about that. Uh, we'll have this in a certain phases before we talk about the actual process. We'll see the journey, how Salesforce came up, and then how MuleSoft is faring today in the market, followed by we'll be looking at the current challenges that the TIPCO customers face, and how you as a trusted advisor can help your customers migrate from their existing TIPCO landscape to MuleSoft. And eventually we'll talk at a I mean say, look at a use case that Deja will be presenting. So yeah, having said all that, uh, Salesforce became a industry leader, and it started to pursue customers to adopt SaaS services, and this started way back around 2010. Now, over the years, these guys became a pioneer in having people move to SaaS applications, and this became a market disruptor for a lot of companies. Now, post 2010s, we have already seen the popularity of the cloud service providers started to increase. And then with these two strategic moves, along with the adoption of your automation over the last couple of years, the entire business landscape started to change drastically. Now, with the introduction of the generative AIs that has come in the last year and a half, that adds another layer of complexity to the entire ecosystem. Now, the result of that, what's happened is the technical teams across the world, they are facing an immense pressure to integrate this entire thing in their systems. Now, in today's landscape, if you see, approximately 86% of the IT leaders are anticipating that generative AI to significantly impact their digital transformation within their organizations. Right. So now, to achieve all this, the different parts of your digital infrastructure, that is the data, the large language models or the LLMs, the processes, and the applications, they should work harmonically to create an entire AI ecosystem, right? Now, once you have this entire thing unified, the organizations start to fully harness the potential of the generative AI and unlocking new use cases and markets which were out of reach before this happened. uh, okay, so in this slide, we will talk about where MuleSoft stands in the industry. Now, MuleSoft over the last couple of years has established its credibility, and it's become a trusted platform across various technological domains, emerging as a market leader in the magic quadrants of for iPaaS solution, API management, and low-code application platforms. Now, with a long-standing presence in the iPaaS section, MuleSoft has earned the market leader for the middleware integration. It's been a visionary. It's been awarded as a visionary in RPA by Gartner, and it's become a strong performer in the Forrester Digital Wave. Now, this is slide more about how MuleSoft has grown over the years. Now, MuleSoft started way back in 2006 as one of the earliest iPaaS platforms. Now, MuleSoft became, or rather, played a pivotal role in defining the concept of API-led connectivity. Again, back in the day, people used to talk about SOAs and hub and spoke architecture. MuleSoft was one of the first who started talking about API-led connectivity, and that started empowering the customers with a more agile and adaptable business. Now, They started expanding their capabilities. MuleSoft also ventured into the areas of robotic process automation, and this actually triggered when they bought they acquired the organization called Service Trace. Now, while they were acquiring this back in 2018, MuleSoft themselves got acquired by Salesforce. Now, this sudden change, what it did was it actually helped MuleSoft. They accelerated their integration capabilities, facilitating seamless connections with other applications and third-party platforms, and that enhance the experiences for the cloud services across the globe. Now, but what happened was MuleSoft just didn't stop there. They started democratizing the integration space. They started transforming from a pro code tooling solution to a low code user community, which which not only empowered the developers but also started to help the business users to contribute to the integration efforts. Now, this democratization is something huge that has brought in. Now, with MuleSoft today, facilitates close to 7.65 billion customer interaction integration transactions per day. Now, this is a huge number which underscores the achievement that MuleSoft has achieved. Okay, now looking at MuleSoft. So I mean, we've always heard people say that it's a unified platform. Why is it called a unified platform? Now, at its core, it delivers the essential features about your robust security and the flexibility to deploy anywhere, whether it's on cloud, hybrid, on-prem enterprise environments, and so on and so forth. You also get the Anypoint Exchange, which is actually a repository for all the pre-built APIs and connectors, which jumpstarts your integration process significantly. Now, MuleSoft also caters to your various user needs with its low code tooling solutions like your Composer or an RPA or an IDP. Again, IDP is pretty rare, new in the MuleSoft realm. Along with your the pro code tooling solutions like your Anypoint Code Builder and the Anypoint Studio. The delivery also started to get accelerated when MuleSoft started offering industry specific um, accelerators, which were tailored for sectors like finance, healthcare, manufacturing, etc., etc. Now, what this meant was the customers operating within these domains, they did not have to start from scratch. They had a significant head start, leveraging MuleSoft's knowledge that they gained from their experience of the past, or rather the previous experiences, right? Now, this wealth of knowledge or the wealth of insight that served as a sorry, that served as a valuable asset, enabling faster development for all the new customers that got onboarded for MuleSoft. Now, with that, MuleSoft also extends API management capabilities that ensures security and governance for all the APIs that you're creating. Now, this is basically a holistic collaboration wherein MuleSoft delivers industry leading end to end integration solutions and automation, as well as your API management solutions. Now, this is a comprehensive approach that MuleSoft has taken, which made MuleSoft ecosystem a complete uh, integration solution tailored to the various needs of uh, va- varying customers, I would say. All right, now all this time we've been talking about your what is I mean what are the features of MuleSoft, where it came from, how it got acquired. Now, since this session is more about how we migrate from Tibco to MuleSoft, uh, it is really important to understand what are the pain points of your Tibco existing users or customers. Now, since I have also worked in Tipco for quite a long time, before even I start going into the area of telling the problems Tipco is facing, it's very important to acknowledge the versatility of the Tipco suite of products. Over the past decade and a half, uh, Tipco was one of the market leaders in the industry. Now, unfortunately, with the change, drastic change that is happening in the industry, the integration space, and the entire software industry, unfortunately, Tipco started losing the race for certain different issues. Now, today, like it or not, Tipco is grappling with its legacy status. Now, it has started to lack the support for citizen developer integration, its cloud centric approaches, and hybrid integration capabilities. Now, as you know, as more and more modernized platforms are emerging, even Tipco's most loved clientele or the most loyal clientele, they are migrating away from Tipco due to its complex and outdated nature. Now, it's not just customers moving out of Tipco. Unfortunately, a lot of people who've been working on Tipco, even they've started to migrate outside Tipco into different technical spaces. Like they move to cloud, they move to microservices. Some of them move to Spring Boots, Dell Boomi, and so on. Now, that's another problem that Tipco is facing. You don't find a lot of good Tipco resources available in the market. So again, if you don't have good resources, you will not have good implementations. So that's another issue that Tipco is facing. uh, and including I mean, apart from that, unfortunately, a lot of their marquee products like your BW5s and the EMSs, I mean, these are in a way reaching the end of life support. Now now since they are becoming end of life support, I mean, they're coming to their end of life supports, and they are not having any further enhancements or feature additions. This has forced the customers to just hang on to Tipco, just keep their lights on as long as they don't either shut off the entire integration or migrate it to a different solution. Now, having said that, uh, if you look back, say, just around when the COVID hit the world, from that time till today, even the customer onboarding for Tipco products has been pretty less. I mean, nobody's wanting to join it. I mean, join the Tipco suite of products as the customers. So that adoption has been sluggish, and most of the customers who are still there are just reliant on them for the mission critical services and operations, and they're just waiting, they're biding their time, how quickly they would move ahead, or rather move out of Tipco into different technical spaces, right? Okay, now this is where talk about ourselves. Now, we are coming from ProviSoft. We are a integration solutions company, but then integration is not just our service that we offer. Integration is in our DNA. Now, we've partnered with a large number of enterprise clients, to provide integration solutions. What sets us apart is we have a team of extensive experienced people who work both on Tipco as well as MuleSoft, including other technologies as well. Now, with this, what has happened is we have a clear experience of both the Tipco world as well as the MuleSoft world. We know what are the strengths of Tipco, the weaknesses or the nuances of working with Tipco. We know what are the strengths of MuleSoft, what are the nuances of working with MuleSoft. So that way, we know both the sides of the world, both the sides of the table. Uh, Other than that, even Salesforce has recognized as a partner, recognized us as a partner, and we specialize in Tipco to MuleSoft migration projects. We operate across 4 different continents, and we have a workforce of just over 300 odd people. Now, our clientele is, if I show you, uh, um, oh, this one. Yep. So we have clienteles across logistic domains, retail domains. We have through manufacturing, and we also have different solutions that we offer. But then again, the today's discussion is not about the solutions that we offer or the clienteles that we cater to. It's more about how we can help you as a community, work with your customers to migrate from Tipco to MuleSoft. Right. Now, coming to the actual migration process. Uh, so, when we started today's session, we looked at, why businesses were, trying to part ways from Tipco. Now, here when we start any Tipco to MuleSoft migration journey, what we generally suggest to the customers, or rather, what you should also suggest is, don't overspend on Tipco. Spend your, or rather, optimize your spend. Uh, Shell out only what is required, just to keep your business functions going on, keep your lights on. This would, get you almost 30 to 40% savings of your overall cost that you spend on Tipco. Now, when you start with your migration journey, you have to first try and gather the information about all the entities that you have in your landscape, which can be reused, and then you try to package them and have them as reusable components. So these are the first steps that you start taking when you're working on any Tipco to MuleSoft migration, or rather Tipco to any other migration that way. Uh, the problem you'll see, I mean, whenever you talk to business stakeholders about any migration process, irrespective if it's Tipco to MuleSoft or technology A to technology B, most of the business folks, they would try to push you for an as is migration, right? So this is where you have to explain and justify your business stakeholders that when you do an as is migration, it's just for the sake of doing it, just to show that okay, I'm on a new tech stack. But they don't realize that when you do a like for like migration, or when you do an as is migration, the major drawback that you get is you end up creating a hell lot of bespoke implementations, uh, or rather a clutter of API, rather than what we call as a well curated API landscape. Also, what happens is, when you do a as is migration, you sort of take the limitations of your existing stack, and you push them to the new stack as well. So it really doesn't make sense of doing an as is migration. Yes, until unless you have to, and there's no other option. But if there are options, you should always try and convince your customers to do a re-architecture, so that you start to utilize the benefits or the features of your new technical stack that you're taking, right? Now, the toughest part of any migration is, to try and identify the repetitive tasks that are available in your project, and you would have to, try to simplify them, or I mean, as you can say, you have to automate them. So there are a lot of steps that you would be undertaking in your entire migration process, which are how do you say, which are error prone, which are pretty boring, pretty laborious. Now these tasks you will have to identify, and then you will have to see as to how you can automate these tasks and make your life simple. Now, speaking from experience, if you talk to different architects across the industry who worked on greenfield projects or migration projects, creation of common frameworks takes a substantial amount of time. But these creation of frameworks and reusable assets, these are your low hanging fruits, because once you do them, once you have achieved these reusable assets and components, these are with you throughout your migration journey, and it reduces your efforts big time. Say you talk about a error handler, a common error handler, a common logger. You talk about say, again, in TIPCO frameworks, you have some of the customers have the routing frameworks. So these are some things which are pretty commonly used across the landscape, and once you have it, you save a lot of time. Now these are your low hanging fruits, and this will save you a lot of effort in your entire journey if you can ensure start with these framework developments, your automation developments right at the inception of the project, right? Now, the again, it's a human instinct or human mentality, you say. When you start working on these frameworks, it's pretty slow because you conceptualize, for example, observability pattern, error handling patterns, and so on and so forth. Now you start from a concept, and then you try to give shape to that concept. Now this can be pretty slow, this can be laborious, and there will be times wherein a lot of people, stakeholders would say, does it really make sense to put in effort and time in these things? The honest answer is yes. Stick to those guns. Don't deviate from creating common services. Once you've done that, your life is simpler when you do your migrations, right? Now, having experience of migration projects across the spectrum, again, if you talk to various enterprise who've migrated away from one system to the other, everybody will vouch for this, that having common frameworks and reusable components, they not only help you to ease the transformation journey, ease the migration journey, but on the overhaul, they actually save you close to 40% effort of the entire migration. Now, when you convert this 40% effort into dollar value, that's a pretty big saving, right? All right. Apart from this, this is basically how you plan your migration journey. You do the discovery, then you go into the planning phase, application build phase, then the deployment, and the management part of it, the ops part, right? So if I get into more specifics of why we migrate, now, if you remember in the earlier slide, I spoke about MuleSoft and generative AI and RPA. So now, since MuleSoft is a part of the same ecosystem where Salesforce is offering you RPAs as well as AIs, it's a very it's pretty easy to use these features, right? Now, for example, if you talk about TIPCO, if you had to manage your APIs, now you would go to the tools like Mashery, or if you had to manage your work, the processes, you would need to go to your TIPCO Business Works, say Business Works 5 or 6. Your messaging used to be on or is still on TIPCO EMS. Come to the MuleSoft ecosystem, everything is coming under one single hood. You have your anypoint management, you have your runtimes, you have your anypoint MQs, and you name the features, whatever you want, you're getting everything. And every other day, MuleSoft, or I should say Salesforce, is coming with advanced features for each of them. Now, it Today, if you look at MuleSoft, you would hardly need to look outside the ecosystem if you wanted to, get most of the features. Yeah, there now again, having said that, not every technology gives you all the features. There could be something which is missing in Tipco, I mean MuleSoft today, and it's not available. You might as well look at the COTS applications, but then in general, overall, whatever is required is there in MuleSoft. Now, the best part of MuleSoft is, again, I'll be dissecting a bit into TIPCO, but then you can do your distributed tracings, which are the latest features, and you can do open telemetry, which are not possible with TIPCO. Now, once you've done this distributed tracing and open telemetry, what you can do is you can take these outputs and you can actually feed your large language models or the LLMs, which comes in the AI scope. Now, using this, you get to know various other statistics which would not have been possible without the inclusion of AIs. Now, having said that, when you need a migration to be done from a platform as complex as TIPCO or as a diverse as TIPCO, you need uh, experts of TIPCO as well as you need experts of the other technology, in our case MuleSoft. So basically, if you are just a MuleSoft expert, you want to go and say customer that I'm a MuleSoft expert and I'll get your migration done. No, it doesn't happen that way. You need people who understand TIPCO as well. Yes, your customer might have TIPCO specialists, people who've been working for TIPCO 15 years, 20 years. The customer might have them, but then for you to successfully migrate, you would need to work hand in hand with those TIPCO folks as well. Now, if your team has a mix of, both TIPCO and MuleSoft experts, I mean, that's a sweet spot that you can hit. Now, again, what I'm trying to, stress over here is, uh, you basically need set of trusted advisors. When you go to your customers, talking about the requirement to migrate from TIPCO to MuleSoft, you'll have to, be a trusted advisor for your customer to show them why they need to move out of TIPCO and what is the best possible roadmap or path they should select to migrate out of TIPCO. So you become the trusted advisor for your customer. Now, if you don't have sufficient experience in TIPCO or MuleSoft or both of them, then your migration journey is going to be tough, and eventually your customer's journey is going to be tough. But then if you have sufficient experiences, knowledge in, either worlds of the technology space, it is going to be, relatively easy. No migration is always easy. It's always complicated, but then it's, I'd say, relatively easy that way. Now, why I say you need masters of both the side is because you will need people who understand integration patterns. You need people who understand XSLT transformations, people who understand the TIPCO stack and how they map it to the MuleSoft stack, and so on and so forth. Like, you have a BW5, you have a TRA, you have an admin. How do you map those stack, directly or indirectly to the MuleSoft Anypoint platform? If you don't understand these stacks and if you don't know how to correlate them, it will not be possible for you to, explain your customers what they are jumping into. It will be a black box for them. Now, most of the TIPCO projects, again, from experience I'm telling, most of these projects have their common utilities like the common loggers, error handlers, mail senders, so on and so forth. Some have routing frameworks, some have integration frameworks, and so many things. And these do have pretty complex XSLT mapping there. I mean, that is done. Now, if you just come in with a MuleSoft experience and you have no clue how XSLT mapping is done, trust me, it is not working. You need a person who will guide you through these existing implementations. So basically, You can come up with an automation for your project creations or your template creations, but then until and unless you understand what your logger is doing, what your error handler is doing, how it is doing, it's going to be tough. I mean, you might understand the overview looking at the code, but the intricacies of the code has to be understood, and you need a TIPCO specialist for that. Now, you could also have, I mean, I shouldn't say you could, most of the TIPCO vendor customers, they already have their, build tools and the deployment tools. Now, you don't need to throw away them. You can, tweak them and, enhance them, repurpose them for your MuleSoft, application builds and deployments. Large number of TIPCO customers, they use your code scanners. I mean, one of the famous ones that a lot of people use is SonarQube, right? Now you can repurpose them as well to do your MuleSoft code scans. Now see, I mean, you have things already apart from your sorry, your MuleSoft platform. You have other ancillary technologies already available with your customer, which you can reuse or repurpose. I should say you can repurpose them to fulfill your existing demands that you would have in your MuleSoft transformation. Now, this is exactly what we say, I mean, what we mean when we say you have to work as a team, as trusted advisors for your customer, so that the transformation is successful, and you get a mature business outcome of this entire migration process. Oops, sorry. uh, okay, what happened? Oh yeah, sorry, I'm still there. So now uh, I've been talking a lot about, being as a trusted advisor. Before that, I spoke why not TIPCO, why MuleSoft, why Salesforce, and so on and so forth. Right now, if we actually look at, the migration process, um, there are certain phases in the entire migration journey that needs to be taken care of. Now, the first part is your domain analysis that you will also need to do. Now, when I say domain analysis, what I mean is, you again, I'm not sure how many of you joining today have worked with TIPCO. Whenever you create or work on a TIPCO project, we have a TIPCO domain. That is where your applications are deployed, right? Now, you have to understand this TIPCO domain, and to help you understand that, TIPCO provides you something called an app manage extract. That's a utility that you can use, to extract files from, or rather the jar files, or the configuration files from your TIPCO domain, and you can use those informations to, plot a map, plot a graph on the paper, which shows what are the different source systems that you're connecting to, what are the different target systems you're connecting to, what are the different file servers, DB servers, and say web endpoints that you're connecting to. So this this picture that you get from the app manage extract, sorry, this gives you a holistic picture of your TIPCO domain, and mapping this manually is a pretty laborious task. And if you can understand how to automate this, pretty good. I mean, you can use one of those TIPCO automations as well to do that. And once you have this landscape, you understand what is your current architecture, what is your current uh, domain, what is your current connectivity, your network. Now, once you understand this, your discovery phase becomes a lot easier, right? Now, you understand this is where you are, and this is your current architecture. Then you take this entire diagram or this architecture, you sit with your business stakeholders, and then you can come up and with a plan and decide what will be your future state, the current state and the future state. So that's what it helps in, right? Now with the source architecture in place, you know which parts of it um, go where in your existing target architecture, right? Now if I talk about the planning, now I spoke pretty detailed why we should go for a re-architecture. Again, I would reiterate over here, if you're planning to migrate your applications from Tibco to MuleSoft, work with the customer, have them go in for a re-architecture rather than a like-for-like migration. Um, I just can't, stop myself from saying the more you do lift and shift, it's the technical that the debts that you take from your current ecosystem and push it to your new ecosystem. Now it's just for the sake of migration you're doing, you're not leveraging any or most of the features of your new technical stack. uh, Apart from that, prioritization. Now prioritization is one of the most important um, steps in your migration journey. I'll spend the next slide about talking about prioritization, but then just understand for now, it is this phase or this step that will create the entire plan of how you migrate your APIs from TIBCO to MuleSoft. If your prioritization is good enough, even though the migration journey can be tough, it will never look like it is an impossible journey. So you take time, prioritize your API migration, uh, segment them in different groups, and then work towards it. I mean, most of us or most of today's enterprises, they are using Jira or Kanban for their project management. This result of this prioritization phase can be fed into your Kanban or Jira epics. You can plan your backlog stories, and that's how you plan or better plan your program increments. Now again, I'll come to the prioritization in the next slide, but as of now, try to understand this is one of the most important phases of your migration journey. Now coming to the build phase. Now what happens in the build phase? Now once you've done this planning and analysis and all those things, when you come to the build side, you want to reduce your efforts that the team puts in um, to do the actual code migration. Now here there is a need to use tools that are available you know in the industry and that can be leveraged. Now for example, the usage of common libraries, right? Like every integration, no matter what technology you talk about, they have certain common functionalities. Now you would need to focus on building such common libraries, or you could even use the ones that are available in your anypoint platform. Now MuleSoft Anypoint Exchange, as I said, is a huge repository which gives you a lot of reusable assets for you to use. Now apart from that, you also need to come up with a certain set of templates that can be a part of your MuleSoft repository as well, right? Now hence the usage of your templates, common libraries, and these reusable assets. Now, when these are used during your implementation, it makes your code, or rather it makes the code that your developers build, they're more consistent, more industry standardized, and in the longer run it's easier to maintain, manage, and enhancement also becomes a, a hassle free issue, or hassle free task rather. Apart from that, there's something we call as the object migration, right? Now, this object is not the MuleSoft object store object I'm talking about. When it comes to the TIPCO realm, when we talk about objects, it's nothing but the XML schemas. Now, all the business objects in your TIPCO enterprise are encapsulated in your schemas. Now, in the Mule world, it's it's as it's the raml data types that we talk about. Now, you this is where you understand the XML schemas is equivalent to your raml data types. Now, using the initial the app manage extract that you got during your analysis or the discovery phase, you look at that, and then you get all these schemas, and using these schemas you create your data types. Now, these data types, once created, these become your reusable assets. So what you do with these reusable assets, you just go and publish it in your exchange so that they are available for your developers to use in their API specification design, their implementations, and so on and so forth. Now, data transformation. This is where you will have the most, I mean, toughest times and the toughest challenges. Now, TIPCO XSLT transformation is no joke, trust me. And the contemporary counterpart for XSLT transformation is our Mule Data Weave. Yes, Mule Data Weave is pretty powerful, but when you sit and start transforming an XSLT into your data weave, it's all hell breaks loose, right? Now, XSLT transformation is not only in your TIPCO mapper. It could be there in your start activity. It could be there in your end activity. It could have those. There were different variables. You had the global variables, the process variables, the shared variables. You had those transitions, the transition paths where you had dynamic XSLT for dynamic like all different call processes, you name it. Those complexities were there in your XSLT transformation. Now, if you have to sit and migrate each XSLT into a data weave, that is going to be pretty tough. So, what you should plan, I mean, when you are doing the discovery phase, when you're doing the planning phase, you have a certain set of team members who, start looking at how you can automate the TIPCO XSLT mappings into data weaves. Yeah, that could be a pretty challenging task, a complicated task. But then once your team is able to achieve this automation, your transformation of your XSLTs from your transformation of XSLT2 into data weaves, it becomes a lot easier. Just a simple example, one simple mapper with a couple of if else conditions, with a schema, say, you know uh, 300 elements a schema will typically take you around an hour and a half of your mapping time, or data view mapping time. Just a ballpark I'm telling. Now, if you are able to create a utility or an automation that can do this transformation, it's a matter of seconds, if even if not minutes, that your data view transformation files are already available, right? Now,
Hey,
coming to, hey,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. Time check. We just have 10 more minutes left.
Oh, okay, all right. I didn't realize that. Okay. um okay, other than that, let's come to the deployment phase. In the deployment phase, you would have your CI/CD pipelines that are available. What we suggest is you do not go into recreating your existing CIs, the new CI/CD pipelines. you should be looking at you know reusing or repurposing your existing CI/CD pipelines that are available. uh, Other than that, deployment phase is pretty simple. The more challenging is your application build phase. Other than that, the monitoring phase. Now, this is where your stakeholders come into place. Now, the business of folks, they don't want to see how your application is created. They want to look at your analytics, your performance. Now, this is where your API anypoint your anypoint monitoring tool comes into picture, and it is where you can show them a lot of what do you call the uh, uh, graphs, or the statistics about how your API is working. Now, if you are an advanced integration, advanced license holder of any point platform, you could do distributed tracings and a lot of other things. Now, you don't really need to go into your out of the the COTS applications to get this monitoring. A lot of things are already available in your anypoint platform, right? Okay. Coming to this one, which was one of the most important slides, uh, how you prioritize your API migration. So, if you see at the graph, there are four different parts to it: the tacticals, the strategic, the operational, and the low priority. Now, your tactical APIs are the APIs that are less complex, and they give your highest business outcomes. Now, these are your tactical APIs. These are the low hanging fruits. These are the ones that you should target first. Now, once that is done, you look at your strategic APIs. Now, these strategic APIs are complex. They are highly result oriented, pretty high in the business outcomes, and they are pretty complex. Now, these are the heavyweights of your integration domain. Now, these will take you the longest time. So that's the reason mark your strategic APIs, and that should be the second phase of your migration. Once you are done with that, you come into the operational phases of the operational APIs. These are less complex. These have very less business outcomes or business values. These are the third ones that you take, because these are the ones that will get migrated very quickly. These are your quick wins. So after your strategic migration, wherein your entire migration velocity reduces, these operational APIs will move your or speed up your velocity. And the last one is the low priority APIs. Now, these low priority APIs, what I mean, you should, I wouldn't say a recommendation, but then what you should look at is, you should see if any of these APIs or services can be sunset. If you can, go ahead and sunset that, because these add no value to your business, and these are pretty complex. If that is possible, sunset it. Otherwise, if you cannot sunset, take them as the last priority, right? So this looks a pretty simple graph, but when you sit down on the table and jot down which APIs fall into which category, it will take you a long time. It has to be thought out properly, and only then you come up with a plan that, okay, these are the tacticals, these are the strategics, these are the operationals, and these are the low priority APIs, right? Okay, coming to the slide. Once your planning is done, um generally this is what phase wise what we say, that your discovery to and roadmap should be around 4 weeks. That should be sufficient for you to understand what your current domain is, what is your existing architecture, and all those things. Now, once you've got this discovery and planning phase done, you typically look at around say 2 to 3 weeks about planning your sprint. Okay, this is where you do your prioritization of your APIs. This is where you know look at which APIs are your tactical ones, which are your strategic ones, and which are your operation ones, and then you start with your iterations. Now, this iteration over here, as you see, solution architectures, the builds and the testings, this goes in an iteration process wherein your APIs, obviously the first ones will be your frameworks that you're working on, right? Now, once the frameworks are done, then you start building your tactical APIs. Now, these tactical APIs, you design them, you start building, and then moving to testing. Now, this is a factory line that gets repeated over and over again. Again, this is an indicative timeline of 3 months. It would again depend upon how you plan your epics, how you plan your stories, and depending on what are your outcomes, this time frames will change. But eventually you start delivering these applications based on the prioritization process that we explained, that I said about in the previous slide. And that will take your entire stories out of your pipeline, and eventually you start deploying this in your production. Now, once you've done moved it to your production environment, the story doesn't end there. You also have to do the hypercare. Now, this hypercare is again in the iterative model, based on the APIs that are coming out of your pipeline. So basically, your first iteration would be your the tactical APIs that you are doing the deployment and hypercare. The next would be the strategic ones, and so on and so forth. So this is how you plan it. This is how you design your entire migration journey. I know I took up a lot of time, but then, yeah, I have Girija as well, who's going to, talk about the use case that we had for one of the customers. Girija, I'll hand over to you, right?
Thank you, Suman.
Yeah.
That was a lot of information and a detailed journey of Tibco to Mule migration. Thank you for that and setting the platform for me to deliver my praise. Hey everyone, this is Girija. I work with Progress as MuleSoft architect. And yeah, I come with 14 years of IT experience, and most of it is in integration landscape. So today I'm going to talk about a case study. Okay, yeah. So as Suman was talking, we come with a lot of experience of Tibco to Mule migration. It can be small, medium, or a large scale business. So the one which we have chosen today for you guys to explain is a player who's a major player in the aluminum industry. So this customer is the world largest recycler of aluminium, and they produce large aluminium products. So the company operates globally, and they deliver consistent, high quality products worldwide, and empowering with data resources and digital tools. So yeah, I mean they were a huge customer with Tipco, and recently they had certain plans, and during that they wanted to migrate all their applications to MuleSoft to achieve certain operational improvements. This was through digital transformation process. Yeah, move on to the next slide, Suman. Yeah, now, I mean, looking at their landscape, all their major systems like manufacturing execution system, SAP, HR, and along with finance and logistics, they were all integrated with Tipco, Tipco as a middleware. So, I mean, they had this aspiration of modernization and bringing in a lot of optimization and efficiency. So they took this strategic decision to migrate and upgrade all their applications which are running in Tipco to MuleSoft. Yeah. So, I mean, if I talk about the journey that we had with them, the journey started in January 2023 with we engaging with their team into deep analysis, architectures, and design discussions, and lots of workshops, so on and so forth. By the time it was sometime around June 2023, we had this official I mean, they handed over the official roadmap of MuleSoft, and the move to MuleSoft was finalized. So, I mean, as time passed within a span of 8 to 9 months, by March 2024, we had about 78 interfaces which were successfully deployed and running in production. I mean, that include the mix of simple, medium, and complex APIs. Alongside, we also built a lot of reusable utility tools, common frameworks for logging and error handling. Alongside, I mean, setting up the CI/CD. These were all part of automations. Yeah, move on to next slide. Okay. Yeah, I mean, as Suman has already covered most of the information on the implementation journey, I would not take much time here. I mean, if you look at this customer who's sticking to technology like TIPCO for such a long time, there'll be hundreds of interfaces that were built, and again, it comes with a lot of complexity around all those APIs. So in such cases it becomes very tricky, or I mean, I would rather say you will have to have a decision whether to go with a manual approach of migration or an automated automation enabled approach of migration. So you will have to basically see it in terms of cost benefit to your customer and which approach can be effective to your customer. So, yeah, as Suman already mentioned earlier, the prioritization of the interface migration plays a very important role here. So, interfaces backlog that you create or we create based on the interface optimization process becomes a major step in the entire journey. So, I mean, at a very early discussions with customer, that we realized um, going with big bang approach is not going to work for us, so we had to take an iterative process of migration. In the first phase we selected about 150 applications or interface, I would say, and among them, as I already mentioned, 78 are already deployed to production and which are running successfully, and there are 45 already in the line which are ready to prod migration. So if you see, I mean, we were able to achieve a good velocity in migration process. I mean, while having these discovery discussions, we were able to identify the tactical interfaces, or I mean, as we said, the low hanging fruits. These would give a customer a quick win and a maximum efficiency to your customer with minimal effort. When I say, I mean, as Suman already mentioned, it's not easy to kind of identify these interfaces. Obviously, I mean, we would not be knowing the entire infrastructure of the customer. So, with this multiple design discussions and meet workshops, they really helped us in identifying these interfaces. And once we identified, I mean, we were reviewing it with the current state and building a plan to organize the implementation sequence. So, I mean, I would say uh, we were able to. I mean, it was easy to achieve the first phase, and all these were. I mean, the whatever the discovery we made, we kind of put them into a backlog stories. So by doing this, the I mean, initial few interfaces what we were trying to implement, it took time. It was a bit of a slow phase, I would say. But again, with all these factors, and customer was really able to gauge the vision that we had for them. So this gave them confidence as well. They started envisioning the API led architecture and how that really kind of give them a benefit, and they appreciated it. uh, so yeah, I mean, after all of this, we kind of uh, customer gave us the go ahead for doing a PI releases. So we started doing the same thing over and over, picking up the interfaces from backlog which were created, and then designing, building, validating again. So it was a repetitive process, I would say. I know. I mean, you guys might be thinking now that we spoke a lot about cost saving and things like that, right? So where is that coming into picture? I mean, if you guys have worked in TIPCO, we would know that XSLT or XML transformations are the major time-consuming activities, I would say. Every mapper or a start activity, wherever you need data transformation or converting a data to a different structure, we end up writing XSLTs. So that takes hours of effort developer spends on it. So I mean, when you're working on migration, your focus should be automating these parts. Basically, come up with a utility which can help you transform these XSLTs into a data view, and that'll, I trust me, it'll save tremendous amount of time. If you look at a larger picture of migrating these 500 or 600 APIs from Tibco to Mule. So, I mean, creating reusable components, be it at design level or an implementation level, creating libraries or a fragment or certain frameworks that will really help save your time. Yeah, move on to the next slide. Okay. So with this journey, I mean, we delivered a lot of value adds to customer, starting with making them think API-led architecture. Like one of the major thought process change that we kind of induced to customer while doing this migration was to make them think that APIs are the services. I mean, products. They are not just a service. So we were able to kind of give them an impression that how they could monetize these APIs to unlock the opportunities. And yeah, I mean, currently I would say customer is experiencing that shift from the existing collection of huge number of SOA services to more matured and well curated API ecosystem. More next slide. Yeah, secondly, it is vCore. Now that we have CloudUp 2.0, so we were able to onboard customer to CloudUp 2.0. And that's where the customers started realizing and leveraging the benefit of Kubernetes, which is like which comes with multiple distribution of workers, ranging from nano, micro, medium memory to like a large memory. So with this, the code utilization is optimized at granular level, and this leads basically to cost saving to the customer. Move on to next slide. Yeah. So again, as we spoke about API-led thinking, and then we had vCore optimization, and now comes to XSLT. I mean, as I was mentioning earlier, that if we come up with an what I say reusable utility for transforming these XSLTs to data view, that will actually help to build a API which is, I mean, the code which is more accurate and less human prone to the errors. And this facilitates efficient data processing, and also ensures the operations are supported and reliable and actionable. So, yeah. And also, I mean, it was observed that there was 85% of reduction in the average processing time, which enhances the company's productivity and agility. So, yeah, I'm just passing through the slides because considering the time that we have got. Okay, yeah, with the enhanced data visualization through API monitoring platform, and the customer is able to really see that value insight that we are adding, and in terms of end-to-end visibility while empowering the business users. Okay, yeah. If you look at the outcomes that we end of the day we gave it to customer, is like it's more successful migration, and now customer looks at it as a more efficient, agile, and future ready business ecosystem. So this really kind of a small step towards the migration looks like a big leap for future business transformations. Okay. Now, I mean, with all that having said, how we do what we do and things like that, so there are certain recommendations that we would like to share with you guys, which we learned during these migration projects that we delivered. Firstly, identifying the patterns and building the templates. As Suman mentioned multiple times, prioritizing the interface plays a major role here. So we had to, you should envision this at an early stage, and the more we kind of identify these at a beginning, that will really help us to kind of come to an efficiently migrated migration ecosystem. And secondly, it's monitoring. Again, with a custom logging framework, it really helps the customer to kind of track the transactions, document the processing. That is a more efficient way of doing it rather than going ahead with the cloud logging. So that is one way. I mean, enabling the endpoint monitoring is one way that you can give a lot of details on the transaction tracking to your customer. And thirdly, it's the automation. I mean, we have said repeatedly that try to have things automated over the period. That will eventually help you in terms of doing the things faster than the phase we started at the beginning of the migration. So, I mean, speaking of these recommendations, again, it's just our learning and experience. Having iterative processes while improving and implementing goes long way. We are, I mean, recommending design first approach and think of these APIs as a product and not as a service. Yeah, I mean, this is what I got. I think now we are over time and the floor is open for questions. If you have any, someone can answer.
Thank you so much, guys. This was a wonderful presentation and like a huge knowledge share. And I know we are top of the hour. If any questions, and yeah, thank you for patience, everybody.
Yeah, we are a lot over the time.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and feel free to come onto the camera as well. Looks like everybody's clear.
Yep.
And ready to migrate.
Hey, Ryan. Yep. Group photo.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm waiting to capture one. Okay, I think let me capture this one. Thank you so much, guys.
All right.
If any
Thank
questions, you can post me as well later. I'll check with Suman and Girija to get back to the answers. So feel free to send out me the questions if you have any at later point of time. And thank you, Suman and Girija again.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
You too.